Welcome, Ultimate fans, to Ultiworld's live streaming coverage of the 2022 Division I College Championships, coming to you from beautiful Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We're at the Uline Soccer Complex for a pool play matchup between the University of Washington Element and Vermont Ruckus. I'm Keith Rayner, joined in the booth by Megan Tormian. Megan, these are two teams that a lot of people have a lot of high hopes for in a very competitive pool in Pool D. Washington 1-1 after a tough loss yesterday. Vermont 2-0 after beating the teams at the bottom of the pool.
Yeah, the day that they had yesterday could not be more starkly contrasted. Vermont, of course, coming in mentally strong, mentally tough, but not particularly contested. In Washington, just an epic game against the Burning Skirts. So it'll be interesting to see what both teams learned from their experience in the first day of pool play and how they bring those lessons to this game today.
Vermont has a tough schedule today, playing against Washington and UC Santa Barbara, but that also means that so much is in the air for these two teams and what can happen in this pool. The poll going up from Vermont in the whites to Washington in the blacks. Steph Phillips taking the disc to the middle of the field. The Callahan nominee immediately sends it over to the reigning player of the year, Abby Hecko. Matchup defense from Vermont to start, although no matchup on the disc right now.
Yeah, they've got a poacher in the lane, and one of the things...
Deep shot hanging, and perhaps misread by the defense, but well read by Ikki Elby. She collects a quick score for Washington. They hold to start.
One of the things Vermont coach Sarah Jacoby mentioned before the game is that they're hoping to take away the first and second look from Washington, and you saw the poach in the lane definitely slowed the offense momentarily, but Washington very happy to take the long shots when necessary. Starting with a great put to really stretch the field and put one on the board quickly.
Sophia Palmer with the assist. With his forehand, hangs up a little bit, but you love to see Palmer, who's typically on the receiving end of goal scoring, putting up shots if you're a Washington fan. And a little bit of a stop and go sort of hold, but ultimately into the end zone. And at points yesterday against UC Santa Barbara, this Washington offense was in cruise control. Despite the level of competition, they are ready to go up against even the best teams. But Vermont, who's really broken into the scene, has a very strong unit of their own. We see Emily Posey getting the disc to start. The rookie sensation has been a big part of the evolution of this Vermont team, although a quick throwaway intercepted by Kate Crawford. And Crawford to the end zone, looking to get Washington an early break. And PX Wrong gets the score. Washington jumping out in front with a 2-0 lead.
Really, Keith, that point there, I think, is demonstrative of the kinds of days they had yesterday. Vermont looked very poised, collected as they started their offensive point, but Washington, prepared for a greater speed, was there to capitalize on a loose throw and then immediately fast broke to the end zone.
Kate Crawford with the interception, and if that point's any indication, Crawford's going to be critical to Washington's defensive success in this game. Was covering Kennedy McCarthy, the Vermont star, and is one of the few really tall, aggressive defensive players that this Washington team has. They're often going to throw her at the other team's best downfield weapon. These two teams have split results during the regular season, playing twice at the Northwest Challenge, and each team getting a win. Vermont falling by one in their latter game, but getting a 3-goal win in their earlier matchup. So this one really is a coin toss. Sarah Von Depp in the middle up to Bossi. Deep shot. Going to need to stay in bounds to give McCarthy a shot at it. And no dice for Posey on the big backhand. Amy Wynn checking in unmarked. So still a little bit of confusion defensively from Vermont as they perhaps try and figure out how to set up this poach. And Washington's not willing to wait it 1 second. Wrong with the disc. Now Wynn with an IO backhand to the end zone and just squeezes out of the hands of her target. Washington with a clear chance to go up 3-0, really seize control of this game, but it's been all element to start. Deep shot from Vermont. Posey in the area, but some contact from Whippler, no call. Contact rule legal, and nothing illegal about Sarah Von Depp jumping through for a block. However unwanted it might be for Washington. Von Depp up ahead to McCarthy. Players going down after the defensive bid.
Is there a call?
I'm going to call dangerous play on that.
Take another look. A dangerous play called by McCarthy on the defender.
I feel like I definitely know contested foul. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, I will step in for a minute and say dangerous play is one of the few calls that observers are allowed to make, actually. So, yes, dangerous play. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
51. Okay. Stalling one, her check.
What do you think, Megan? A potentially important call against key defenders. Another turnover results in another stoppage. What do you think of that blue card?
You know, when I watched it live, I didn't think that it was a particularly dangerous play, but I think that's one where they don't like to mince words simply because you can't run through your person in order to make a D.
Because we were going for the same space, and the biscuit already in there. We both contested. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so we want to play as a contest?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
all right, call is foul, contest, so we'll go back to the thrower. Where you were at the time of the throw.
Lila Bannister and Amy Wynn agreeing to disagree on that one. McCarthy will start with it again with Crawford on the mark. Von Depp over to Charlotte Lassiter and a bidding save by Von Depp. And another run-through block by Washington and another call, however. This Washington defense is fired up, however.
Well, that makes sense.
But would that not be me going for the disc then?
But I think it's like I think you hit my hands.
Want to send it back? Do you want a ruling?
I guess I can test, but I can test, yeah.
Okay. Do you want to send it back, or do you want a ruling on the play? Or?
What do you want to do?
I want a ruling.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah, so you did hit her hand first, so it is receiving foul. Okay. Yeah. I'll stay here, stalling one.
So the observers certainly getting their work in.
Yeah.
The first couple points of this game.
Observers for this game are Daniel Wong and Carl Nelson. We will see if they continue to have to step in to the degree that they have so far.
Players utilizing that third party to help adjudicate some of these calls. This will stay with Vermont. And immediately the shot going to the end zone and a pile of players underneath it. And no surprise to see Kennedy McCarthy emerge with the plastic in hand. Gets a hold, and an odd one, to say the least. Not probably how you draw it up if you're the Vermont offense, but they're happy to get the goal all the same.
Yeah, and you have to think that Vermont needs to collect themselves and decide how they're going to get the disc a little farther in front of the Washington defenders. I mean, there were a lot of really close calls for Vermont that particular offensive possession. And that's not how you can function for the entirety of a game. You need just a little bit greater of a margin of error. You don't want to have to send McCarthy into a crowd and hope that she comes up with it.
That is what they got. You see McCarthy making a really difficult catch against Crawford on that blue card bid. And then coming up with I think this is slightly more difficult. It's at least worth more points, but pretty difficult grabs either way for the Vermont Star. But you're right, Washington's defense has to feel like they were nipping at their heels. You want to get back out there quick. If I'm Washington's offense, I want to get that D-line on as soon as possible. Before
they are fired up, yes.
Zone look now from Ruckus. Phillips and Elby working it. Echo tiptoeing near the sideline. Penetrating throw gets up to Palmer. Washington in rhythm as Elby gets it backwards. Looping crossfield throw, another jump ball situation. And Vermont comes down then again. Quick strike beyond the reach of the receiver. Posey going one-on-one with the player of the year, coming away with the first win. And another bid that is close but empty-handed. So both teams are flying around, Megan. Nikki Chan resetting to Elmy. Elmy again goes to that wide forehand. Uncovered this time. Vermont transition to match up, but gonna need some help defense here, but Posey's up to the task. Throw hangs just a little bit, and the athleticism of Emily Posey, the freshman, has been on display through these first 4 points.
Absolutely. Again, Vermont coach Sarah Jacoby said they were going to throw a lot of different defensive looks, and it's been great to see that zone get them opportunities, and you have got to be kidding me.
Emily Posey, the throwaway, and then wins it back. 2 blocks in 3 throws. Young player making a huge impact, not afraid of the spotlight here. Alex Greer now with the disc. Diving save by Michaela Luke Courier. Posey looking deep. Has Ali Horeski in the area, but not able to pull that in against the well-positioned defense of Elby. I've coached against this team in Vermont a couple times, and they're always tall. Ali Horeski is part of that group. Even as they graduate tall players, new tall players appear. They've won some aerial battles this time around too. Washington rushing all the way into the red zone already. Now here's Chan. Help defense peels off to stop Hecko. Inside break to Palmer's. Gonna set up a quick continue. And Palmer squeezes it in just before the sideline to Tong. So Washington gets that one after a bit of a battle.
Yeah, Vermont has to be incredibly pleased with the opportunities that their zone generated for them. You know, she's not going to walk away with a stat, but on Washington, I have to say, I am so impressed with Elmy's handling during that zone offense. There were 3 different times where her throws just worked around the defense and got Washington going.
See it, that Emily Posey block,
so
wow.
Great. Unbelievable. I mean, after she had just gotten another D before that, this layout, goal-saving D from Posey.
Not enough to prevent Washington from eventually finding the end zone, but I think Hecko might remember that. I mean, that looked open. I would have thrown it.
I would have thrown that too.
But next time she might check to see if number 44 is in the area.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good point, Keith. You do a layout D that cleanly, that perfectly, and suddenly the other team is aware of where you are on the field.
Posey out of Maine, played with the young Riptide team that made waves. She's doing the same at the college level now. Her deep shot goes up to McCarthy, tries to come back under to grab it. The short arm throw, and can't come up with it. Washington initiating going the other way.
Von Depp just tipping that out of bounds. Great job reading the disc.
Another block for the UVM handler. And that sets up a 2-throw score. Ruckus holds again. Lila Bannister collecting the goal. Ruckus driving the bus. A true classic. That one's been around as long as I have. So both defenses, these defenses and offenses have been very even, despite the fact that we have just one break. A lot of chances, a lot of blocks, including a pair for Von Depp. But the O-line defenses are playing just about as good a defense as the D-line defenses.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, there's a lot of flexibility and talent on both teams, which is why this is going to be such a great contest down the line. I also think Vermont has done a good job of adjusting to the speed of the game. They came out looking a little flat, a little surprised, and have very quickly ratcheted up the speed of both their offense and the intensity of their defense.
I wonder if that's a function of who these teams have played thus far. I mean, Vermont has not been in a close game yet. They played against the two teams seated at the bottom of the pool and won both of those games comfortably. Washington already got their reps in against UCSB to kind of prepare them for that Nationals game speed. Phillips, cross field with the inside break. Great throw up ahead of Elby from Chan. Elby resetting to Phillips. Team's Callahan nominee once again out to Hecko. Washington falling into a red zone vert. Elby showing so many different release points, and then she goes back to the high release backhand and a diving catch for the score that's got Element fired up. Yason Lee with the catch.
Great reaction from Lee. Elmy was starting to be thin on options. That high release goes up. Lee instantaneously reacts.
That looked like the kind of catch you get when you've played together enough to understand what your teammates want. Knows Elmy likes that high release backhand, and that gives her just enough of a head start to be able to make a play on that.
Yeah, totally agree. What your teammates like, what they're capable of doing. I mean, she was very active at the front of the stack, wasn't making a specific cut, but watching Elmy to see what would happen. And when that high release went up, because she was active, because she was engaged and paying attention, she was able to make that great grab.
And that play gives me a chance to highlight something I will never miss the opportunity to when I call one of these Washington games. The hype of Nikki Chan, number 10, bouncing up and down in celebration right next to Yason Lee as that catch is made. Chan is just a ball of energy for Washington. And you always know that she's a teammate who's going to be there to celebrate your successes. So a lot of big plays thus far. Still a close game. Slasher takes a centering pass. Low throw dug out by McCarthy. McCarthy again goes to the high release backhand up to Von Depp. It's a backhand force from Washington. Switching things up. McCarthy gets a fill reset, and I feel like I see that on instant replay. Von Depp with another diving save. And the diving save attempt by Lassiter on Posey's reset comes up short. So a midfield mistake for Ruckus. Washington looking to strike. Trying to figure out where to go. It was Yanema. Another inside break. Washington as a team has shown a strong ability to execute that inside forehand. Megan Louie up line. I think that one just bounced off the outstretched hand of Mae Browning. Browning, I believe, is from the state of Vermont. I'm sure Ruckus wishes she was playing with him. It's been a standout for Washington in her first season with that team. Quick turnover for Ruckus. Washington right back into the red zone offense. Wrong. Resetting for Crawford. Has lots of room. Excellent cut from Browning to get to the goal line, but a stoppage.
Pick, uninvolved. 1.
Browning looking for the short option, but another stoppage.
Things are looking really tight there at the front of the stack for Washington. That's enabling
When you're ready.
Kennedy McCarthy to pop away from the top of the stack and be an extra body in that front corner.
I don't know if they heard you, Megan, but they immediately give some room, and that makes it easy for Wrong to go up the line. And Washington has all of the breaks in this one. They get their second to go up 5-2. Not complicated. Let's run a straight line 10 yards up. But effective.
Yeah, difficult to guard that strike up the line cut. But, they were showing multiple times that that's the cut that they wanted. If I were Vermont, I would have adjusted and positioned myself for the around throw to be allowed so that I could stop that up the line cut, because they just repeatedly showed that that's the handler set movement that they were looking for.
Washington been so effective with these inside forehand breaks that it's getting difficult for Vermont's defenders to know whether they need to be focusing on the around or the inside. And Element's been able to take advantage with some hard cuts going one direction and then shifting to the other, but those Snowers are just opening up the whole field. It's a timeout from Vermont, I believe. So Washington, with their second break, they go up 3 on Vermont in this feisty Pool D matchup.
Ultiworld's live streaming coverage of the college championships is presented in part by AGW Ultimate, who wants to remind you to say no to Big Ultimate. You can find them at agwultimate.com.
Vermont searching for a response, for answers to Washington's effective red zone attack and high pressure defense. We'll see who they turn to. No surprise to see McCarthy, Von Depp, and Posey all coming back out. Team, I believe, still playing without their Callahan nominee, Myfine Cole. It's one of their top goal scorers. I believe unable to attend Nationals due to a scheduling conflict. Another diving save. I mean, you can't say they're not trying. They are putting it on the turf. And no dive is going to save that one as Von Depp's forehand trails out of bounds. Amy Nguyen looking to cement this advantage for Element. Flowing options to the open side, but that one escapes the hands of Grassy. Nice throw to space. And a bid that Lila Bannister has to argue was in bounds against Washington defense. And now Bannister tries to force one into the end zone. And, you know, some players could just turn a 50-50 into a 70-30 pretty quickly. You got to put Kenny McCarthy on that list.
Yeah, Bannister has seen McCarthy catch in a pile-up before and was happy to give her the opportunity to do it yet again.
McCarthy coming up with some huge grabs for Vermont and necessary ones. We see this bid again.
I don't know, Keith.
I mean, I see the argument for Washington.
I mean, to me, it looked like her first point of contact was her upper body on the line, which would be out.
Take one more look. Bannister.
Yeah.
Yeah, her
That's
forearms may be the first thing to make contact. If she drags her feet here, it's no problem, but her feet come way off the ground in an effort to burst forward. And her right elbow is in, her left elbow is out, so I hate to come down to like which elbow might have hit first. But Washington has a case that merits discussion.
Well, hopefully it won't come down to that particular score, but observers' ruling stands on the field. They do not have the benefit of replay. She was called in, and then Bannister sends it to McCarthy for the score.
I would be the world's best observer, provided I could just watch replays every time. I'm pretty confident. Speaking of one of the world's best, Hecko, not showing it off on that play. Backhand goes out of bounds about 5 yards away from her. Never comes back. She is human. in case we were not confident.
It's good to be reminded from time to time.
So Posey checks in. Now Posey rocketing a cross-field backhand. 3 Element defenders in the area. And they nearly give up a second effort catch. Great hustle from Vermont. Godley Fisher trying to make that play, but they just couldn't get their hands quite to that disc. Not sure if they would have been able to get it in bounds either. Nikki Chan with acres, and then muscles a forehand towards the back line, but not calibrated correctly.
And the last 2 long throws from Washington have just been shaped incorrectly, have sailed away from their intended receivers. Abby Hecko's going way out of bounds. And that throw from Chen sailing away.
So reprieve for Ruckus. But that possession does not last long. Now it's Phillips getting ready to pick up on the attacking half. Echo holsters an upfield throw. Resets to Phillips. Palmer fakes the mark wide and then comes back to that inside lane. Tough to recover after giving up that much room. Palmer gives them no opportunity to do so, finds her second assist.
There's that inside put you were talking about earlier. Here we see the offensive movement that led to the score. That inside put from Palmer, just so difficult to defend. It's a narrow, narrow lane, but Washington happy to work within it.
Textbook by Palmer. I call it maintaining your advantage. They get this advantage by going to the break side. Palmer's got separation, and by throwing that continue fake, the mark really has to respect that and go so wide that it opens up all the options going back the other way, including that shallow, flat break that Palmer attacked. So Washington asserting themselves over Vermont. Number 5 overall seed with a 6-3 lead against the number 9 seed. Both these teams still with hopes of winning this pool over UC Santa Barbara. But with Santa Barbara having the only win over one another within that trio, hard to say they aren't in the most advantageous position. Maybe an offsides call. Not sure what else it could be on this type of stoppage, but play resumes for the Brickmark. Great motion from Ruckus to begin. And now McCarthy's taking off. There's nobody on Vermont who isn't throwing this.
Oh, wow.
And help defense comes flying in from Washington and gets the block, but yields another call on the part of McCarthy.
I didn't see you at all, and I got like hit pretty hard, I think.
Doug, you got me, please.
Difficult play for Amy Lee. Both players coming from different directions into the same space. And both looking at the disc.
I felt like I touched the disc first.
I agree you touched the disc first, but I think I didn't see you at all. You were coming from my blind side.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Do you want to send it back? Do you want a ruling? Do you want to...
We can send it back.
Or
What did you see? What did the observer see?
Do you want a ruling on this play?
Yeah.
Okay. She did get the disc first, and the contact was you intersecting into the same space, so it's not a dangerous play on either player. So.
But no foul.
Correct. Yeah. So, yeah. So new defense will check us in here. You'll say okay.
I have
All
to
right,
agree with that
live.
ruling.
I do as well. I think
Yeah.
the defender got to that spot first, had every right to it. I'm not entirely sympathetic to the didn't see you argument. I think that was a position that she could have been seen from. But one thing I think that we can say about that type of interaction is, even if players disagree, I still think that was a spirited interaction. Both players made their statements in a reasonable manner, respecting each other's perspectives, and you can arrive at a disagreement. Good spirit does not mean agreeing on every call. Good offense by Washington. We've seen them getting these quick flows after turnovers, and that one gets away from Crawford. McCarthy able to get a hand to it, so gets a block back. Now underneath. And starting to see a pattern emerge from the far side of the field. This is something that I saw against Santa Barbara. Washington playing a lot of help defense, like the defense they got that block against McCarthy with. Von Depp up line. uses the speed, makes the catch. So Von Depp having a very strong first half, a bright spot for Vermont's offense. But they trail 6-4.
Yeah, Von Depp has been doing so much for the team, making layout grabs, really moving the offense with her throws. And here recognizing her opportunity to run upfield and be a target. That can be a really clever, potent move for handlers to use. Because oftentimes their defender presumes they're going to hang back by the disc. And if you get a step on them, you can very easily cut to that open side, getting quite a few yards, and in this case, make it into the end zone.
Von Depp, a skilled handler, but is very quick as well, very agile. That's the word I should have started with, because it captures her movement style very well. You can see how she uses that to great effect. Von Depp, originally a Division III player with Mount Holyoke. As I believe a rookie helped lead that team to nationals. One of the strongest D3 programs historically. But transferred to Vermont, and Ruckus has been happy to have her. She stays on for the pull. She and McCarthy getting plenty of run for Ruckus. Chan, nice spacious cut downfield. Shallow forehand for Hecko, who slides into it. And again, McCarthy just kind of sitting near that front cone, looking to play help defense on anything that comes her way. Washington content to go away from her. Vermont sends 3 extra defenders to try and help on a front cone cut, and that frees up Chan. Signature celebration. I think she's DJing this time. I don't know what she was playing, but I know Washington likes that tune. So they go up 7-4.
How about that find from Pua? I mean, it is incredibly difficult to defend against Washington's offense.
Then a little go DJ. That's my DJ. You know, fun fact for you. My DJ at my wedding. The one and only Charlie Eisen.
No, really?
I kid you not. And I'll tell you what, kind of brought the place down.
You heard it here first on the live stream.
Chan,
Charlie Eisenhood ruined Keith Rayner's wedding. Wah, wah.
Oh no, and I mean it in a good way. It was wonderful. Charlie has a great set.
I thought you were ragging on him.
No.
All right.
I would never besmirch the name of DJ Eisenhood. Maybe we got to add that to the subscriber package. You know, there's a lot of great benefits in there now, but you know, if you a team pack, maybe you can get a little DJ session from Charlie.
Well, don't undersell him. You definitely have to up the price.
Look. There's a lot of value in there now with all the games that we're filming here at the college championships, plus the analytics coverage that's coming as well. Make you feel like you're here with us in Milwaukee. Every team in the field getting filmed or streamed. You can find out more about how you can support those efforts. Cannot do it without our subscribers at ultimo.com/subscribe.
Oh, wow.
And another hanger for McCarthy. And, you know, it's just one of those throw it up top kind of moments. And finally, they find one that she can't catch. Crawford makes up the play. Now Amy Wynn up the line. And she's looking deep for Hecko. Hecko turns on the Jets, and goodbye. Takes us into half with the day-day. And the kick spike. And you don't want to see Hecko in space like that. And suddenly, this half is concluded with a break for Washington that puts them up 4. It puts Vermont in a scary hole against one of the 2021 finalists. I mean, that is a tough ask of McCarthy.
Well, certainly, especially the way that that disc was shaped, and you have a tall defender in Crawford able to make the read, and then that attack from Washington, just absolutely clinical fast break.
A gorgeous put from Amy Wynn, right out into space, just on a platter for Hecko. As a receiver, that's all you want. Full speed, right into it, easy clap catch. That deserves a great selling. So an impressive showing from Washington. Some fight on the part of Vermont, but Washington's been really able to step on the gas in this half with tremendous defense and some big plays on offense as well. Vermont trying to figure out how to approach this second half. I mean, they still have a game against UC Santa Barbara to think about later today, but I imagine they're fully focused on trying to make a comeback against Washington. Plenty on the line for these teams as they're fighting for a spot in the bracket, perhaps even a bye into the quarterfinals. Will be action. And there's been no shortage of players hitting the ground, players showing love to one another with some exciting celebrations and making big plays for the fans. Let Abby Hecko take you into the break with a break. Element up 8-4. Vermont search for answers.
What would it look like if a competitive sport didn't mean a choice? Between beauty and brutality, style and steel. Between calling yourself out and clawing to stay in. What if there was a game that found balance? Between spirit and sport. Agony and elation. Like a disc dancing on air.
We now have evolved into a team sport of a game called Ultimate.
It stands by itself in that it is like no other game.
Between perfect passes and devastating drops. Like the balance we so desperately needed, we had no choice but to create it ourselves. Long live grit and grace. Long live Ultimate.
Yes, I'ma love you like you love Johnny Cash. I'll be your gangster, I'll be your man.
What a throw.
I know what I'm doing, yeah, don't need a map. I got the juice to throw your train off the track. Honey, do whatever you want, I'll be watching. Yeah, let you blow, now we're touching. No, I'm not pointing, I'm just stating a fact. I'll rock your world, I'll knock you flat on your back. When I'm broke, I'm really good boy. When I'm bad, I'm better.
Great catch by Kara Siebert. Wow.
You be my bunny, baby, I'll be your Clyde.
Stewart with the high release backhand.
Swing of your hips has got me fit to be tied. I'm shaking.
Another great throw from Kaczynski and a great catch from Barrett to match it.
No, I'm not fronting, I'm just stating a fact. I'll rock you out and knock you
UCSB looking for this break, and a great grab by Childress in the end zone. Big throw from one of those star freshmen in Stewart. Kara Sieber with a foot block. Stuffed by Kwasnik. Nelson stuffed at the throw by Jezierski. And Jezierski gets the point block, but it's saved by Audrey Brown. What an incredible layup catch. Kwasnik goes and gets it over Jezierski and over everybody else. Jezierski shooting for Barrett, right back the other way.
We're back for Ulti World's live streaming coverage of the 2022 Division I College Championships. We see the women's division pools in front of us. A lot of the top seeds near the top of those pools. Not seen a lot of upsets just yet, but some very close calls along the way. And don't know, Vermont's going to have to do a lot of work to turn this one into an upset, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure that they thought they were going to come out with a little more aggression, but I think they were caught by surprise, both by the intensity of Washington's defense and also when they were on O, how much more space they needed to give their players in order to be able to make the play. I mean, Washington has just been clipping at their heels the entire time.
It's a stark change from what I saw from this Element team against Santa Barbara at the end of the day yesterday. I mean, their defense was a little bit toothless in that game, but here takeaways aplenty. I mean, these are not just unforced errors; they are all over Vermont's cutters.
Well, talking with the coaching staff on Washington, I asked, what were the lessons that you learned in your game against Santa Barbara yesterday, and they agreed that they needed to convert once they got the D. And I think they were eager to come prove to themselves that they could do it. They could make those adjustments and come out fiercer than they were the day before.
Lots of teams with plenty to prove coming up on today's streaming schedule. This is just for our stream over here. We got another stream set up as well, but North Carolina and Georgia, a particularly interesting women's division matchup in our future, as well as Colorado and Minnesota to wrap up pool play today. And that blank slot at the end is going to be determined as we go. It'll be a pre-quarter round. So plenty to come here in Milwaukee at the Uline Soccer Complex. We're excited. Hope you'll be there to join us for the second half of this one.
There is a place where we are us at our best.
A place where everyone is welcome.
Regardless of age, shape, skin color, or anything else that tries to box people in.
A place where we defy the odds, defy the naysayers,
and even defy gravity.
A place where it's accepted that success
doesn't belong to the faint-hearted. It belongs to the brave, to the determined.
A place that knows grit, knows grace, knows bright lights, and knows empty bleachers.
A place where we remember to laugh
We are back. Keith Rader joined by Megan Torrey. Pool D action. Vermont receiving in a 4-goal hole. This one going out of bounds, so Posey will get to walk it to the middle. Some highlight moments for Vermont. Some moments I'm sure they wish they could turn around. This will be their chance. Trailing teams always want to start the second half strong. Big call stops play. Disc in the hands of Von Depp. Reset down to Hureski. Another stoppage.
So we're saying 4? Perfect. Okay.
Okay.
All right. No. Okay. We'll be at 4. You catch up. Hold on.
Classic
Okay.
thumbs
All right.
ups from the players to one another. Reset situation. Yeah, that stop disc can be tough, but Posey able to squeeze one under. Greer. Vertical stack. And then we're gonna say that she hit a target. With that one, a backhand into the end zone, Von Depp. Plenty of room to safely make that catch. And Vermont starts with a hold. Can't ask for much more than that.
No kidding. That's confidence inspiring for Vermont. A 3-goal deficit in the second half is certainly never where you want to find yourself, but it does seem far more manageable. And again, I have to give credit to Von Depp, who followed that play, and had she not, that would have been a turnover for Vermont. Again, showing off her ultimate IQ by just making sure she's in a prime, helpful position at all points in time.
If the first half is any indication, we're going to see lots of Von Depp and McCarthy. Probably our fair share of Posey as well, who's getting ready to pull. And I'd be a little nervous because it does seem like Washington's been able to run their sets through a more diverse cast than what we've seen for Vermont. I think that's a credit to Washington's defense, really putting a pressure on some of the support players for Ruckus. Zone look. And this is one of my green flags, I think the kids call it. Star players who will play in the front of the zone. Love it. McCarthy up front, putting the mark on. She'll have to contend with the bevy of Washington stars. Elliott Phillips looking confident as they cross midfield. Pecco into the red zone as Vermont transitions. Her backhand sailing, Phillips chasing and secures the catch off the turf. Great play from Steph Phillips for the response hold from Washington.
Overall, just loved watching Washington decide how to move through that zone. And here, like, you saw the recognition on Phillips's face when she realized she had missed it, but the play wasn't over. She immediately turns around and starts attacking as it is sailing away, making an absolutely perfect bid.
That was a picturesque layout from Phillips, full extension to get to that. Left no doubts. This is what I was talking about. Hecko with a modest 1-1 stat line that belies her impact on this game, but also shows how much this Washington team has been able to turn to a number of different contributors. And their offenses, after the first couple points, basically had their way with this game. They've been attacking the break side. They've been attacking the up lines. We've seen them hit a couple of deep throws. Vermont's defense just has not been able to put the brakes on this Washington attack. So pull goes up from Browning. Marking in the hands of Posey. Von Depp, who's now pushed downfield. An adjustment by Vermont, and that frees her up for a gorgeous backhand huck. And the score signal from Lila Bannister, as if there were any questions. Von Depp going Von deep with his backhand. Defense with no shot at it. Perfect throw.
Yeah, Washington knew that they would have a tall order in trying to limit Kennedy McCarthy. But I'm not entirely sure they were prepared to stop Sarah Von Depp. She has been making her mark in this game, both outside and inside the goal. Kind of doing whatever she wanted.
An interesting adjustment to see the coaches push her downfield more, where she can initiate with that agility I mentioned earlier. Try and get her some freedom, pick up some yards, and let her make the throws from motion rather than from the backfield. And a well-timed strike from Bannister to capitalize. And for me, that's going to be what decides the fate of this Vermont team. McCarthy, Von Depp, Posey, you kind of know what they're going to give you. And can players like Bannister and Hureski rise to the occasion against top-level competition? Certainly did during the regular season. But Nationals is a whole different ballgame. Nelby and Phillips, once again working in a bit of a backfield dynamic duo in this game. Pua winds up a backhand, but can't quite keep that one in bounds from this low sideline. Pushed out of bounds by the wind, so a break chance for Vermont. Posey checks in with Savannah Tucker on the mark and breaks that mark, but in and out of the hands. Greer, and just a quick counter by Element. Nikki Chan on the receiving end of that one.
I mean, that particular play is demonstrative of how just so smart Washington has been playing. Palmer picks up the disc, looks, doesn't see anything in the end zone, immediately turns around, hits Phillips on the break side. And Chan is cutting to that break side. So easy. So easy.
I think a lot of inexperienced players think that picking up the disc with urgency, as Palmer did, is not good if you're not going to throw the score, if you're not going to throw forward. But takes the backwards throw that sets up the easy score. Sometimes just getting it moving is all it takes. Nikki Chan, Johnny on the spot for the score for her second goal. 2 goals and like maybe 5 sellies this game. Unofficial stat keeping on my part. So Washington staying out in front. As Grassi gets ready to pull. The men's side of Vermont has vacated. They were here earlier. They will be playing on this field next on our live stream against Cal. I'm sure they wish they could be here to continue to root on the women's division representatives. Both teams making it for the first time to nationals. And I haven't talked at all about Vermont being the only state in the United States where Ultimate is a varsity sport. And it's probably no coincidence that that has coincided with their rise to prominence in both divisions in college. Doorstep now for Vermont. That's one of their most confident offensive points yet, an 0-1 hold. A little head spike for Bannister. She scores back-to-back.
Yeah, the last two offensive possessions from Vermont have been really clean, and they are going to need more of that in order to stave off any more Washington breaks. And now what it really comes down to is whether or not their defense can generate an opportunity and then convert.
I wonder if the halftime break did take some of the fire out of these defenses, because the first half it was high pressure all the way around. Layout Bates coming throughout the half, and this half has been a bit more offensive in nature. Timeout on the field as Washington looks to press their advantage, trying to close this one out of Vermont and get themselves their second win here in Pool D.
Ultiworld's live streaming coverage of the college championships is presented in part by AGW Ultimate, who wants to remind you to say no to Big Ultimate. You can find them at agwultimate.com.
Vermont breaking the huddle just as we return for more second half action. Women's division, Rutgers trailing 10-7 against Washington. Coming off a hold, and they'll get ready to pull to this Washington offense that is quite strong. Although something of a rarity here, I'm not sure I've seen Element play an O-point without Abby Echo on the line. But maybe choosing to rest her legs a little bit, maybe thinking they're going to cross her over to defense more. But Echo not on the line. So it'll fall to a new group. Certainly Elby, Phillips, Palmer, and Chan have been up to the task thus far. Phillips and Elby open things up. Tom resets. McCarthy denies that offline throw to Phillips, and she's thinking about going with a high throw and opts two into the middle. Now here's Palmer on the jailbreak. Around the horn. Look at Palmer hustling from one sideline to the other. Easy offense from Element.
The zone that generated a few opportunities for Vermont in the first half seems to have lost its potency here in the second half. Washington has settled in quite comfortably, going over the top of the cup, able to work it down several throws. And then once they get close to the end zone, they just run their signature. Lots of movement to that front corner, hitting the open throw when it appears.
Phillips striking yet again. Second goal, 1 assist, but I'm sure if you pulled the yardage of the touch data, you'd find much bigger numbers on that end. It's not all about who gets into the end zone. Phillips has been a constant for this Washington offense. Element defense coming back out. And looking very comfortable. Washington looking confident right now. And why not with the way they've been playing, especially in the second half? Washington reaching the finals 5 months ago in the 2021 college championships. With an epic win against Carleton in the semifinals. Posey looking deep for Von Depp. She shows off the wheels. And again, the Von Depp downfield weapon shown to be a dangerous one.
Von Depp showing the flexibility, and how about that throw from Emily Posey? Takes a moment to wind up, and then it just rides the sideline, curving in slightly at the very end on a platter for Von Depp.
All smiles for Von Depp right now as she gets into the end zone yet again.
You said it, Keith. The clean offense is on full display this second half. It is night and day.
It's been a big game for Sarah Von Depp. She's got a couple blocks, a number of big saves that will go on the stat sheet. And then the second half has gone downfield a bit more and showed off the cutting prowess.
Yeah, she is setting up those cuts well so that a defender is not anywhere near her. And I just, again, have to credit how smart she is at recognizing the way the play could pan out, positioning herself to make absolutely uncontested catches all over.
Elby gets it just short of midfield. Hecko fakes a big throw, settles for a horizontal one instead. Vermont just giving up easy free yardage to start. Palmer, open side, looking for Hecko. That had a lot of pace on it. Hecko able to get her hand on it, but not able to pull it in. We haven't seen Vermont yet do much with these break chances. A lot of them have been brief. But now with McCarthy out there on the line with Von Depp, maybe they can get something going. But so many of these D-line possessions have looked mostly like that. Few options available. Phillips resets to Bua. Bua tried to jump that one in. Unsuccessful, and again, you see that backwards reset, set up in a round fake that opens up an inside break. And just another missed opportunity for Vermont to get back into this game. They've just not been able to grab it by the horns.
Phillips is so good at moving slightly with her shoulders and then getting herself right back into position to do that inside throw. I mean, it is smooth, it is so quick.
Smooth, a great word for the Phillips' style of play, especially around the disc. Very fluid, with her fakes and pivots. Skillful thrower has been one of the top handlers in the women's division for a couple of seasons now. Watch the D-line, trying to figure out how they'll try to close this game. I'm sure, despite how comfortable the offense looks, they'd love to add a couple more breaks to their tally. And for Vermont, it's getting late awfully early. Not sure if there was a timeout call, but I think that may have been Washington gathering on the field, but not calling a timeout, and now there's unclear what's happening. Game will resume shortly. Megan, are there any paths you see for Vermont to get back into this game? I mean, they've really not been able to get on the front foot at all.
So obviously one of the issues is that their offense was not really firing on all cylinders in the first half, and I do think that they seem to have ameliorated those issues, definitely stretching the field a little bit more, but they have to have a decisive game plan whenever they get the turn. They are running out of time, and Washington is certainly showing no weakness.
Element now flipping into his zone. Changing things up for the Rutgers offense. Stoppage downfield. You don't see a ton of big calls in zone defense. Play resumes. Now over to Von Depp. She's trying to go cross field, but that throw low and intercepted by Wynn. Wrong on the break side. Unmarked. Now Washington settling in a little bit. And as I say that, Wynn has an inside break escape her. And then a hand block from Crawford. Turns that into a big yardage gain, and right away they go to the end zone. But I don't know if Emily Posey's the one you want to test.
Again, Posey in the end zone, preventing the Washington score.
Now Posey trying to get that one off that sideline and across the field, but not the right edge on it. So trails away from her target.
More back and forth than we have seen so far in this second half as Washington takes a timeout.
Elbin opting to settle down, knowing that a break here could ostensibly put this game away. 5 goals. You're 2 goals away from the end of this one. It's a extremely tall hill to mount. So talking now in the huddle. Washington helped get this lead through the play of Steph Phillips. The veteran thrower has been all over the place, scoring goals, making big throws, even making some highlight catches.
Yeah, I really like the way the Washington handler set kind of maneuvers themselves around the front of the end zone. They're perfectly happy to break around, they're happy to break inside, and they're happy to go up the line. Phillips seems completely comfortable maneuvering in whatever direction the momentum is carrying the team. She's pretty potent no matter where she is in the positioning of it.
I'm inclined to agree with you, Megan, and I'd have to say that of any cohort in this game, the Washington handlers have been the strongest group who've had the biggest impact. Vermont's handler defenders have just been unable to take things away from the strong reset play of Washington. So that rushed throw is intercepted by Godley Fisher. They reset to Von Depp. Now she gets it back on the sideline. And a difficult around, but works out. Just tucked in inside of the sideline. Bold choice, but you can't argue with the outcome.
Time is of the essence for Vermont. And what a D from Godley Fisher. I mean, they were just heads up, fully aware. As soon as that disc started to wobble, they grabbed it. And yeah, two Washington defenders in pursuit, but she shaped the disc enough around them to enable Greer to make that play just on the edge of the sideline.
Greer doing her part on the receiving end, keeping that one in bounds, making the play despite the presence of the defense. Now it'll turn to the Ruckus defense, their only real hope of getting back into it.
Their last defensive point, they had Von Depp on the line, which I thought was really smart. They did turn it over very quickly when they had that one break opportunity. Let's hope they have a plan in case they're able to get the disc from Washington.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of crossover by McCarthy and Von Depp to the D-line, but neither out there now. One of the things I like about putting your stars out on defense is you get a little more control over what the matchups are after a turn. When you're going out on offense, the other team's picking who's guarding who. Elby up line into the red zone, and Chan finishes it off. They're in their zone right now. Another comfortable score, just cushy for Washington as they make it 13-9.
I have to think that Elmy is excited every time she sees a zone come down because she is able to put up some really crafty throws and has done so all game.
That's my type of thrower. I'm cut from the same cloth. In fact, I sometimes like it when we get broken when the team runs zone because I just want them to run it for the rest of the game. Elby, happy to see a cup come around her because she knows exactly how she's going to approach that. She and Phillips have been just carving up Ruckus zones throughout this one. Washington's displayed the depth that I think they're known for. I mean, that they have that mix that makes you a title contender. They have the top-end players to compete against the best players in the division. They have a strong system. I think this is one of the strongest system performances I've seen from them this year. But they also have players up and down the roster who can step up, can win matchups, can make plays. They've got an experienced coaching staff. I mean, why not Washington?
You know, that's a great point. There is a lot to like about Washington, and I enjoyed watching them play in their game against Santa Barbara yesterday as the shot goes up.
Von Depp looking to, I think, to hold position there.
And check with her and then walk back. Yeah. Her check.
It looks like there's an
you
uncontested
check with
foul.
her and then you start walking back. Yeah.
So Von Depp's going to check it out on the front line. So an opportunity to score very quickly. It's exactly what Vermont needs. And Bannister, another trip to the end zone, another spike. So Vermont just what the doctor ordered. That's a bit like a pass interference play in football. To take the yardage there. A little role reversal. I don't think we've seen McCarthy throw a huck yet. I'm not exactly sure what the nature of the call was there. It's not clear to me that disc was catchable.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I have a ton of confidence in Von Depp, but that was sailing far too fast.
But no hesitation in the no contest from Washington. So players deciding for themselves how they feel like that play should be figured out. And my opinion matters not. I'm sure if yesterday was an indication, I'm sure our YouTube chat has plenty of thoughts. I believe somebody tweeted yesterday that we should just get rid of observers and just let YouTube chat decide the outcome of calls. Surely, what could go wrong? What could go wrong?
Oh, kangaroo court comes to ultimate.
The will of the people, Megan.
Who are we to stand in the way?
I'm sure they're loving this too. I shouldn't get them all riled up. Who needs to get riled up right now is Vermont. I mean, they need some fire. They looked so scrappy in that first half.
Yes.
Even though things weren't necessarily going their way, but I feel like we just haven't quite seen that same grittiness in the second half. And that's part of why Washington's look so comfortable. Is there's just no friction, no resistance.
Yeah, it is definitely do or die time for Vermont. And you're right. I think some of the defenses were a little fresh for Washington the first half, which is why Vermont was able to generate more opportunities. But they do seem Vermont seems slightly more timid in this second half, not being nearly as aggressive, nearly as close. I mean, sometimes all it takes is you to contest one or two throws before Washington starts taking an extra fake and their offense starts slowing down.
I may have to go back to look at this game after this tournament to do some analysis on why Vermont's defensive offense could never get going. I mean, I'm not quite sure, but I think they may have less completions, averaging less than one completion per break chance. Credit to Washington's ability to play defense after the turn. Something I think their O-line takes a lot of pride in. But again, you see this Handler group just keeping things moving. And you and I talked yesterday when we were calling one of our games about the ability to get to a second, third look, and Washington had no problem getting through those look progressions. It is thriving on their option B and option C. And on the call, option C, the C might stand for Chan. She has been just finding that hole in the end zone repeatedly.
Yeah, I do think, to go back to your point about options B and C, as soon as they get to the red zone, that seems to be Washington's bread and butter, is everyone being totally aware and present for an open cut right in the middle of the stack cut and a break side cut.
Let the hype session begin as we take a look at the play of Nikki Chan throughout this one. I'm telling you, it never ends with just the score. It really doesn't.
You might say it begins with the score. She is an absolute joy to watch, not just for her spectacular play, but her fantastic energy and celebration.
So, some players celebrate because they like to score. I think Nikki Chan scores because she likes to celebrate.
I think you might be right, Keith.
I'm here for it. She gives the thumbs up as she stays out on defense. She's looking to celebrate a Washington win. If they can punch this in, a 5-point victory over Vermont is going to look pretty good. It'd be extremely favorable should Vermont upend UCSB later today. It's been a little while since we've seen Crawford hit the deck against McCarthy, and she's taken a few shots, come up with a few, but McCarthy stood up and bobbled series of catches by Jureski. And unclear if the catch was completed prior to Jureski leaving the confines of the field.
I was 60% out.
Because the disc wasn't fully in your possession when she
Well, I think the called her in.
So players can overrule active observer calls to their own team's detriment. So you are allowed to overrule me if you want, but my ruling was in. Is there?
I mean, I didn't have that perspective.
I wasn't quite clear if she had one
so we'll be
foot
here
on the ground, almost coincidentally. as she gained possession, and it would have been that inside foot if she did, or if she was kind of mid-air, actually, and landed with both feet down, straddling the line. I'd have to see it one more time to know for sure, but another situation which I think Washington has a credible case, but Vermont doesn't waste that second chance. Another hold to send the Washington offense back out there, and now it is actually do or die. Score or be done. And one more look. So she has that foot down inside, but hadn't completed the catch. I mean, I think that's a straddle, and I think that's out of bounds.
I think so too.
Not for a lack of effort, but the rules don't actually care about how much you were trying, unfortunately. So Vermont getting away with one, a very close play though. So I don't fault them for thinking it may have been in. And they do advance to the end zone either way. And stacking this defensive line, knowing that that's what they're going to need to come back. Challenging place to be as a coach to know how do you want to manage your personnel in this part of the game. You know that if you do make a run, you're going to need these strong players out there and fresh. So when do you give them a break if you do?
Yeah, especially considering they have another tight game against Santa Barbara later today.
I like going with it right away because point diff could come into play, and now that group is going to have the disc. Von Depp wasting no time. Who else but McCarthy on the targeting end of that one? And not sure if Phillips perhaps got a piece of it. But whatever, if she did, it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
McCarthy got the whole of it.
I saw Phillips' hand go up and was certain that was over. Not exactly sure how she didn't make contact, but McCarthy was there.
I mean, the way that Vermont sends it up to McCarthy, I don't even know if they look. They're just like, Kenny's probably back there.
I mean, that is certainly what is absolutely essential at this juncture in the game. And here we see the impact McCarthy has had. A couple of great catches in a bunch of traffic.
Some players can just win context independent. You know, just it doesn't matter what the environment is. Von Depp just a quick tap and sends it. And Phillips, I think, frustrated, thinking maybe she could have gotten a hand on that, but that's the first crack that we've seen from this Washington offense. And a bit of a test of their resilience right now. A team could get nervous in this situation. Surprising to see Vermont go back to the zone because I do not think this has been very effective at stopping Washington. But sometimes on defense, you have to pick the lesser of two evils. Dog to an open Hecko. Palmer's taking off. Nice job by McCarthy on the mark to help make sure that didn't go up. Although, Emily Posey lurking. Now Phillips thinks better of it. It has Elby totally uncovered as Vermont transitions. Hecko, conservative choice to holster that and go under to Elby. Right back to Hecko. And another one of those reset swing scores. Phillips completely unmarked as we saw Vermont committing all their resources to try and stop those upline, those shallow cuts, and Washington very effective at going the other way and taking advantage, and that wraps this one up. 15-12, Washington gets the win, but in control from start to finish.
Yeah, the opportunity for Vermont to make an impact this game was done in the first half. Washington settled in and returned to the tenets that make them such a potent team. They were converting on D, they were breaking the mark, they were throwing deep. They were looking incredibly strong.
I still see room for growth for Washington, which is perhaps scary. I mean, I think that that's one of the things people don't talk about enough for teams that do well at Nationals. The teams who improve from Friday into those high-pressure bracket rounds, I think Washington is going to be a team like that. I mean, they look better than they did yesterday. Defense, I think, can have a little more consistency in their energy level, but hard to argue with how well Washington played in this one. This Vermont team is very strong, and Washington making them look somewhat average. Do appreciate the two teams putting on quite a show, though, in this game. We saw some of the great technical stuff. We saw the big plays, the layouts. We saw some strategic adjustments, and plenty of high energy from both sides. This was one of the matchups that I had circled. I mean, these are two teams that play an exciting brand of Ultimate. They delivered on that front.
Certainly, and as you said, it'll be so fascinating to see how both Vermont and Washington continue to develop here at D1 College Nationals. It was a great learning opportunity for both teams, and just a joy to watch.
Absolutely. Bringing the joy. Washington bringing joy to their fans with a big win over Vermont in Pool D.